Donald Trump, a name that evokes strong reactions across the spectrum. While many see his actions as impulsive or erratic, there's a strategic depth that often goes unnoticed. Today, let's delve into the method behind what some perceive as madness. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more nuanced geopolitical analyses. At first glance, President Trump's aggressive tariff policies appeared reckless, threatening global trade stability. However, these tariffs were not mere economic bluster. They were calculated moves aimed at renegotiating trade relationships that had long disadvantaged the United States. Take, for example, the tariffs imposed on Canada and Mexico. Many viewed these as punitive, but they were, in fact, strategic tools. The goal wasn't just about trade, it was about leveraging economic power to address broader issues such as illegal immigration and the opioid crisis. By signaling a readiness to implement tariffs of up to 25%, Trump's administration effectively pressured these neighboring nations to engage more seriously on these critical issues. This wasn't chaotic policymaking, it was a deliberate tactic to achieve broader policy goals. Similarly, Trump's approach to China, often painted as a full-blown trade war, was far more strategic than most critics acknowledged. The tariffs targeted specific industries where China's economic practices, including intellectual property theft and currency manipulation, had long undermined U.S. competitiveness. The message was clear. China needed to play fair in a global economy. By initiating these actions, Trump shifted the global conversation about trade practices, forcing even U.S. allies to rethink their approaches. NAFTA had been a point of contention for decades. Critics across the political spectrum argued that it disproportionately benefited multinational corporations while hollowing out America's industrial base. Enter Trump, who campaigned on a promise to renegotiate this agreement. What many dismissed as bluster turned into one of his administration's significant achievements, the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA. The USMCA modernized trade terms to reflect the realities of a 21st century economy. For instance, it included stronger labor provisions aimed at protecting American workers and introduced new rules for digital trade and intellectual property, areas that were barely addressed in the original NAFTA. While critics claimed the renegotiation process would harm relations with Canada and Mexico, the final agreement demonstrated that tough rhetoric could yield tangible results. It was a masterclass in using leverage, in this case the size and importance of the U.S. market, to bring about meaningful change. More importantly, this wasn't just about trade numbers. It was about restoring trust with the American worker, many of whom had felt abandoned by global trade policies. The USMCA showed that Trump's America First agenda wasn't just rhetoric. It was a concrete attempt to recalibrate trade in a way that prioritized domestic interests. Beyond tariffs and trade agreements, Trump's broader economic strategy was rooted in leveraging the unparalleled size and influence of the United States economy. This wasn't about isolationism, it was about recalibrating relationships to reflect America's strengths. Consider the administration's stance on energy production. By reducing regulations and embracing domestic energy independence, Trump transformed the United States into a net energy exporter for the first time in decades. This wasn't just an economic win, it was a geopolitical one. It reduced America's reliance on volatile regions like the Middle East, giving the United States greater freedom to pursue its foreign policy objectives. Another example was Trump's use of sanctions and economic penalties as a foreign policy tool. From Iran to North Korea, the administration's willingness to wield economic power sent a clear message. The United States would no longer hesitate to use its market dominance to achieve strategic objectives. While this approach drew criticism for its unilateralism, it also achieved results that decades of multilateral diplomacy had failed to deliver. While President Trump's methods were often unorthodox and controversial, they were underpinned by a strategic vision aimed at recalibrating America's economic relationships. Whether one agrees with his tactics or not, it's essential to recognize the deliberate strategy employed in his approach to trade and economic policy. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. For more in-depth geopolitical insights, stay tuned to America's Geopolitics.